Hi everybody, welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. My name is Elle, and I come back again today to read some Law of One material to you and just share some of my perspectives with you. Now, this one today is going to be sort of a continuation of the last podcast that I recorded. If I recall, hopefully this is correct, it should be number 51. And it talks about how we are in third density, but it is said that we are transitioning into fourth density. And with that, some may say like the fourth density is already here. And with that, that means that basically you would be activated in your first three chakras, living in the third density, and now the fourth density is here, and it is encouraging you to step into your fourth chakra, which is your heart chakra. So stepping into the heart. Now, there's this funny thing that happens where you would think that, hey, I'm activated and hanging out in my first three chakras, and then wouldn't it just make sense that, yeah, you would step on into fourth? However, it actually causes like a recoil effect to some people where instead of stepping forward into the heart, or maybe they do temporarily step forward into the heart, and then they may get rejected or something like this. And it causes you to sort of retreat. So, you may fall back into your third and even to your second chakra, the orange chakra, the more personal chakra, which is the main thing that I wanted to talk about here. Because if you listen to the last podcast, which was pretty long, I'm sorry, it basically goes into how when you do sort of get that rejection and you retreat back into your orange chakra, you have there's the personal eccentricities that you may develop, and then I guess I wanted to go more into that because I also wanted to go into the fact of more how this can happen from a rejection sense too. I know I have some like friends and family and even myself who have done this probably a number of times where when you try to serve, you have to be vulnerable and you have to try to open yourself to others. And there's a lot of rejection that can happen within that. You either make errors in your attempts to serve, or even then you may have good intentions and just it's not welcomed by the other party, for example. This can cause you to feel rejected and not wanting to be vulnerable and do those service and staying in that heart, right? And you immediately just jump back, not only to like your communal self, but back into your little self, like into just you isolated from everybody, from everything, just you with your thoughts in your head. I feel like that's sort of you in your orange chakra when you're at least in your head and not in a balanced way. Okay, so that was my long intro, and today is going to be from session 15.12, and this is from the raw material. You can get it on my website, theoneinfinitecreator.com, and then there are links to the LL Research website, who gives us all this information for free. Thank you. Okay, so this is from the questioner. Honestly, sort of just winging this podcast, and therefore I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to read. I will at least read you the first four chakras, because that was my main thing, and then maybe we'll just sort of briefly go over the last chakras, but there's just so much to talk about if we go into everything. Okay, so the questioner asks in 1512, questioner, quote, "How does an individual go about balancing himself? What is the first step?" And then Ra answers, "I am Ra. These steps are only one. That is, an understanding of the energy centers which make up the mind-body-spirit complex. This understanding may be briefly summarized as follows. The first balancing is of the Malkuth, or Earth vibratory energy complex, called the Red Ray complex. An understanding and acceptance of this energy is fundamental. The next energy complex, which may be blocked, is the emotional or personal complex, also known as the Orange Ray complex. This blockage will often demonstrate itself as personal eccentricities or distortions with regard to self-conscious understanding or acceptance of self. The third blockage resembles most closely that which you have called ego. It is the yellow ray, or the solar plexus center. Blockages in this center will often manifest as distortions towards power, manipulation, and other social behaviors concerning those close and those associated with the mind-body-spirit complex. Those with blockages in these first three energy centers or nexi will have continuing difficulties in ability to further their seeking of the law of one. The center of heart, or green ray, is the center from which third density beings may springboard. shall we say, towards infinite intelligence. Blockages in this area may manifest as difficulties in expressing what you may call universal love or compassion. Okay, and I'm just going to end it there for now, because it's going to keep going on about all of them. Now, obviously, they're talking about balancing here, which, in my opinion, is kind of what I'm talking about too. You know, to be activated and balanced in all your bottom 3 chakras is going to allow you the energy, will, and sustenance, all that stuff to enter the heart, because entering the heart isn't necessarily an easy thing per se, and it's definitely staying there too takes will and effort. So, you know, like I said, I wanted to mainly talk about how this is sort of like, you know, being kicked from these chakras back into your orange ray chakra. Assumedly that you have opened and balanced all your first 3, which they don't even really explain red ray, because they say it's a fundamental that you understand this, but they don't really explain it a ton. So, you know, the way I see it in my head, you know, you have to think of this as, this is mostly just brain work. This is mental work. What does Ross say? The body is a creature of the mind. My understanding of chakras and what we're doing here is we're basically doing mental work, but mental work to the ability that it really physiologically changes you, you know, both physically, metaphysically, you know, literally and not. So I guess the red ray I would describe as, I guess I'll explain it how I would feel if I felt that my red ray was opened and healthy. So if my red ray was open and healthy, I would be feeling, you know, I suppose, grateful. I would be feeling secure. I would feel secure with, you know, my shelter, with food, with just the very basics that I need to live. If I have, you know, food, water, shelter, heat, you know, just these very, very basic things, I don't feel that my life is constantly being threatened. Those are all sorts of things that, you know, get you stuck in your red ray. So let's just say, you know, you're feeling good there, all right, feeling pretty good about life and those things, because, right, you can't think about other things if you're not surviving. So of course that's your first sort of perception filter that you have to go through, and I would consider, you know, the chakra almost like a filter of perception. So you've now balanced that, opened it up. Okay, we can now move on to our next version or portion of ourself, which is our orange ray, the second chakra. So what that is, your sort of personal self. They describe it here. It is as your emotional or personal complex. So take that as you will. You know, I would assume this sort of means like this is where your emotions come from as well. Emotions aren't always logical. That doesn't mean that, you know, things coming from here have to make sense, but it's just that from this place, it's, you know, where we can understand ourselves more if we're able to elevate this energy up into the third and into the heart. But if you kind of get stuck in these areas, that's where it, you know, it becomes a blockage. And then they state here, you know, this blockage will often demonstrate itself as personal eccentricities or distortions with regard to self-conscious understanding or acceptance of self. So personal eccentricities with acceptance to self, right? Low self-esteem, anxiety, unsurety. Yeah, well, you can fill in the blanks. Depression. What else do they say here with regard to self-conscious understanding? Honestly, just not understanding yourself, not understanding your emotions, not understanding who you are. You know, just not feeling comfortable with your being, honestly. Like that is what I feel like is being blocked in your orange ray energy center. And the more you sit there and the more you hang out there and you don't elevate those things to a higher center, you know, you're not balanced in these areas, the more that they are unfortunately going to cause more and more distortion. Like it's, you know, you either kind of like learn the lesson or it's almost like a negative feedback loop. And you can see it as a negative feedback loop, and that might sound bad, like it's there to destroy you, but you know, the dark night of the soul, sometimes it's we can't learn things until you really get pulled down and really realize, damn, you know, I have this lesson to learn. What does Ross state? Sometimes the self goes through a lot of work sometimes to get the attention of the self by applying metaphorically the board to the forehead. That's not exactly what they say, but you understand what I mean. Sometimes, you know, you have to go through those negative loops of, you know, depression, whatever, get to the bottom so that you can figure out that, wow, this is a terrible place to be. I need to get up from this and move forward, okay? All right, so say you're now feeling good about who you are, generally speaking, as you, as a person, and you're emotional with your thoughts. You're generally feeling good about who you are, I suppose, as a individual. Right? Now you would then be wanting to elevate that from your second chakra into your third chakra. And, you know, when I talk about this like this, I forget that the spiritual world out there, they always like to think of this like physically, like, okay, envision the light. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't really envision it that way. I literally just think of these things mentally. I think, you know, if I'm feeling comfortable in a certain way in my mind, then to me that means that I'm feeling balanced within that chakra. And then, you know, it will also demonstrate itself by being just like a healthy body, healthy thoughts, healthier emotions, things like this. Okay. But we're elevating our second chakra, our emotional or personal complex, into the third chakra. So the third chakra I could most easily explain as being just your larger self, your larger community. It would be everybody that is in relationship to you, even vaguely, right? Friends, family, workers, significant others, anybody you know, basically. So as you basically, you know, I suppose it's how do you relate yourself to your community, to your family, to your friends? Are you having healthy relationships with them? Are you able to, I know like it just sounds simple, but, you know, like be part of a, maybe like a sports group, just, you know, even you're into video games or whatever, you know, into gaming with friends, is some kind of community. It really doesn't matter. It's just that you're expressing yourself in a communal way, in which case you are interacting with other selves and you are getting feedback. You're getting catalysts from other selves. So, you know, if you're opened in that area, then you would, I suppose, be, well, I don't know, I guess interacting with your community in some way. I'm sort of just reiterating the same thing over and over. But I'll just read you what it would be here if you were blocked again, just so we can reference this part again. So they say, the third blockage resembles most closely that which you have called ego. It is the yellow ray or solar plexus center. Blockages in the center will often manifest as distortions towards power, manipulation, and other social behaviors concerning those close and those associated with the mind-body-spirit complex. Okay, so that's what they're stating here. So you can see that, you know, this is talking about blockages again, right? So let's just think about the blockages so that we can understand what it means to be within a healthier energy center, within a healthy place within that third ray, that third solar plexus center. If you were blocked, then you would have ego problems, right? You don't necessarily know where you fit in with your community. You're uncomfortable with it. You're manipulating other people so that you feel that you fit within the hierarchy somewhere where you feel is appropriate, versus just trying to figure out where you truly do fit within it. You know, blockages in this center will often manifest as distortions towards power, manipulation, and other social behaviors concerning those close and those associated with the self. Right, so you essentially, if you're wanting to be on the service to others path, you would want to be loving others and accepting them, right? The service to others path is about love and acceptance, but more simply acceptance, and the service to self path would be about control. So, you know, I'm talking to you assuming you're a service to others person. You know, if you were a service to self person, I would have different advice for you. I'd be telling you to maximally control others to benefit yourself, but that's not what we're here to do. What we're here to do in our third ray is to basically accept others, accept their distortions of themselves, love them, don't use them to manipulate like basically don't manipulate for your benefit, right? If you have good intentions to serve, you have to understand others have free will. They will have free will to seek as they will, and that's going to be hard for you to accept. And so part of that, part of this whole equation is you being able just to accept the social behaviors of others, figuring out where you fit within it, and in my opinion, to have a healthy yellow ray, doing something within the community. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to, do something for the pets. You want to just join a sports team. You want to, sorry, I'm having trouble thinking of a lot of healthy things. I guess I just don't want you to think that you have to do something like what I'm doing, but you can do something like what I'm doing, right? I feel this is like this podcast and my Instagram and everything like that. That is me interacting with the community, in a certain way, and maybe not even so much as I think, because I don't get as much feedback, but I get a lot of feedback from you guys. So anyways, point is that you try to have some kind of healthy feeling within yourself that, yeah, I fit within the community. I'm not looking to manipulate others. I'm looking to basically just love others and accept them. And with that, you should, you're loving your larger self, and then you can now step into the heart. So what is the heart? What's the difference? I had trouble with this at the beginning for a long time, because there's a difference between that larger self of community that I'm speaking about and then a universal loving, a universal acceptance. So I've explained this in the other one, but it's really the only way I feel that I know how to explain it, which is to step into the heart and to love universally would mean, in my opinion, to love everybody that you do not know, right? So within the yellow ray, within the third chakra, you are loving everybody that you know. Within the green ray, the fourth chakra, the heart, you are loving every single possibility of every human personality on earth, which includes the 360 degrees of your personality. Now, your personality has a beautiful, happy side, and it has a shadow side. And part of you being in the heart is accepting both of those as one beautiful thing, which makes the whole. Right? You need to, and then the worst part about it too, I guess, I'm sorry, I'm probably going to go on a tangent here, but the closer you stand to the light, the more defined your shadow is. So, the closer you're going up your chakras, I would suggest you're headed towards the sun. You're headed towards the indigo violet chakras, which I would say are the logos, which is the sun. So, the closer you get to that light, the more defined your shadow is going to be. And the way I would explain that is that the closer you come to truth, the harder it is to live in denial. The harder it is to live in distortion, to deceive yourself. The more you see the truth and the love, unconditional love, the more that you see all your little petty grudges and everything that you hold, and all those reasons that you came up with that, yeah, that's a viable reason why I should not like that person, or why I should hate this or hate that, or whatever. Those are all BS. They're all crap. It's up to you to accept those parts within yourself, and as you accept them and you remove the victim mentality out of the situation, and that there's nothing you can do to necessarily change others, you can only change yourself, and within that, you got to be the example that you want to see. And so you could see why being in the heart is a difficult thing. It's a lot of self-responsibility. All of a sudden you can't go out pointing fingers at others, saying, you did this to me, you did this to me. I mean, that may be true, right? But the point is that healing, it comes from within, and what comes from within is you being truthful with yourself, and the truth is that unconditional love is, my understanding is true, and you have to love yourself, which means that you are everything, and so you have to be open to love everything. It's very easy to love the things that are good, but you basically have to learn to love everything that you hate, anything that you consider you hate. you may have your good reasons for that, but it's the reality, the bigger, wider perception is that everything is a distortion of one, and that one is love. And it may be very difficult to see that because this is an illusion of separation. They don't call it the illusion of separation for nothing. That's for a reason. It's very convincing. It's very convincing. So there's so much to go into here. I guess I'm just riffing here, but I guess I just want to add, since we're talking about this, that it's okay to be confused. We're in the third density, and my understanding is that this density is a density of confusion. It maximizes your free will so that you can be encouraged to use your heart. You don't know necessarily exactly what the truth is, but you would hopefully know what's good to you, what it means to be a good person, to set your intentions to serve. And as Quo says in, other material from LL Research, if you set your intention to serve, you shall serve beyond your wildest dreams. Okay, so we can go into the other chakras maybe just briefly, just because I don't want to leave this too incomplete, but I do want to mostly end it there. So the blue ray, you step into the blue ray, you are bringing that energy from the heart up into the throat chakra, and you are communicating. So they say here, the blue ray center of energy streaming is the center which for the first time is outgoing as well as inpouring. Those blocked in this area may have difficulty in grasping the spirit-mind complexes of its own entity and further difficulty in expressing such understandings of self. Entities blocked in this area may have difficulties in accepting communication from other mind-body-spirit complexes. So to make it easy, the blue ray is communication, expression of what's in your heart, and in my opinion, I think, manifesting what's in your heart as well. You speak, you shall create. What is it? Abracadabra. As I speak, I create, something like this. I wouldn't take those words lightly. So the next one you would bring from the throat chakra, their blue chakra, which we just described, up to the indigo chakra, the indigo ray. That is your third eye. The purple, indigo, purple, sure. Those blocked in this center may experience a lessening of the influx of intelligent energy due to manifestations which appear as unworthiness. And they go on. But basically, unworthiness is what would, be within that center. So as you step within that center, you step within infinite worth. You stepping into the indigo ray is also stepping into somewhat infinity, into silence. And you now are, like in the blue ray, you are expressing almost in a physical way, right? You're expressing through voice and communication. As you step into the indigo ray, you're expressing through silence, through meditation, through realization within, which resonates out. If you've ever heard of, people wanting to seek gurus and stuff, and they don't even need to talk to them, they just want to be around them. I mean, to what degree there may be cults, but if those were real, in my opinion, what's going on is that those are indigo ray beings. They are radiant. They don't need to do anything but just look at you in the eyes or just be in the area. They just radiate essence of unity. Just look in the eyes. It's basically as simple as that. But that all comes from being of infinite worth. So you have to understand that you are a being of infinite worth, and so is everybody else. It's maybe easy to say that, but to truly know it from the interior of your being is another thing. I'm not completely there, working on it. And then then they step into the violet ray, which they say, it will be as it will be, balanced or imbalanced, has no meaning at this energy level, for it takes in its own balance. It's basically the overall reading of all your preceding chakras, the violet ray. But there is something about when you pierce the indigo to violet, you reach intelligent infinity, as they state in the beginning here. You balance your first three chakras, your first third density, right? All your three main living, human, physical chakras, and you step into the heart, and that is the springboard to intelligent infinity, which is what they're trying to say. It's to step from the heart. The other energy centers come immediately available. It may be a little difficult to push into the heart, but once you get there, everything else should open up for you in terms of communication, what's in your heart, meditation, infinite worth, moments with infinity, things of this nature, service, obviously, feelings of worth, feelings of unconditional love, feelings of joy, right? These are all things of the Creator, which is my understanding is the essence of the Creator. They say they have, the logos of our creation has a bias towards love. Okay, so I think that was good enough for today. I really enjoyed these last two podcasts, and I think that you guys did too, because I can sort of see on the metrics that you watched a little more than usual. So, yeah, it was nice to go over this. Thank you guys for listening. If you appreciate what I do, you can, shoot me some love on Patreon. That is what I'm trying to build up right now, and I would really appreciate your support. But you can do a one-time PayPal thing, theoneinfinitecreator.com, and just scroll down to support. What else? There's my little store that I created. You can, if you'd like to get something physical in return, and I get a little something out of that as well. What else? I always forget, and then I forget, and I don't want to record back and ask, add on to this. So, like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Love you guys. Thinking just maybe 2 podcasts a week. It allows me the mental focus and time to, I think, give a better quality podcast. And, I try to I'm going to record these a previous day so I can just release them a little earlier in the morning for you. So yeah, that is the plan right now. Thank you so much for listening. Love you guys. Take care. Woo!